Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've shot a video, but I wanted to touch on a subject real quick that I've been dealing with on Facebook a little bit, and that's SB4, more commonly referred to by opponents as the Show Me Your Papers law here in Texas, or the Sanctuary City law. And there's a lot of misinformation going around. You know, everybody's on their team, everybody's right or left, and if you're on the right, you love it. If you're on the left, you hate it because it's discriminatory. And on the right, it's like, yeah, if the feds aren't going to do something about it, we're going to do something about it. Well, let me set the record straight and tell you exactly what the bill does and what it doesn't do. First of all, a sanctuary city, let me define that for you the way I understand it. A sanctuary city is any city that disallows federal immigration authorities, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, from coming into their facility to interview people who have been arrested. Okay? Basically, if a city or a county does not want to cooperate with ICE, that's what a sanctuary city is. They don't let them into the jail. Here in South Texas, I am not aware of any sanctuary cities, and I'll tell you in a minute why it is that's interesting. Okay, so the bill says makes it a misdemeanor. I think it's a Class A misdemeanor for a city or a county representative to not cooperate with ICE. All right, that's what it does on the sanctuary city side. It mandates that they cooperate with them. I have no issue with that part of the bill. Now, the second part of the bill is being touted as, you know, the Show Me Your Papers portion of the bill. And some people on the right are saying, yeah, it gives officers new tools. It's actually neither of those things. And let me explain why. And I'm going to take you through a scenario of why this bill does nothing to change anything regarding how police officers conduct themselves here in Texas. Okay, so let's say an officer conducts a traffic stop and pulls somebody over for speeding. Okay. In Texas, speeding is not an arrestable offense, okay? He asks for the driver's license. There's no driver's license. There's no ID. Okay, what's your name and date of birth? He checks with his dispatcher. They run the local, the national, or the state and the national system, and there's nothing returning, okay? So he has no way to verify who the person is that he's speaking with. He has some options. Here in Texas, peace officers have a whole lot of discretion. There's very few things where we have you will do this or you will not do this. Okay, so we have a lot of discretion. So option number one is he can simply give him a warning, write him a ticket, write him a warning, you know, whatever he wants to do as far as that goes, he can do that. And that's it. He can do that. He could write him a ticket for speeding and for no driver's license. The second option is he could say, you know what, I'm going to write him a ticket, but while I do that, let me call Border Patrol and have them come down to where I have them stopped. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. He can do that as long as Border Patrol gets to the traffic stop before the officer is done doing what he is doing with the citation. In other words, remember, you cannot be arrested for your immigration status by a Texas police officer. You cannot be detained by a Texas police officer for your immigration status. Likewise, your detainment, even a legal detainment, like in the scenario we're talking about right now, it's a legal detainment. The person had violated the transportation code. He cannot prolong that detainment because of immigration status. So he can't wait, you know, an hour for Border Patrol to show up. However long it normally takes you to write a ticket, that's how long you got. If Border Patrol shows up in that time, great, they can then do their thing. Now, the officer also has a third option, okay? As I mentioned before, speeding is not a arrestable offense, but driving without a valid driver's license is an arrestable offense in Texas, okay? It's a Class C misdemeanor, but it's arrestable nonetheless. And most violations of the transportation code in Texas are arrestable offenses. So the officers has the option to arrest or instanter that person for the violation of driving without a driver's license. Okay, so let's say that the officer chooses to go with that third option. He's going to arrest him. Okay. So he arrests the person, take him into the city jail or the county jail, depending on what agency it is. they'll be there in the jail until they remediate the situation with their driver's license. In other words, they pay a fine, they have somebody come in and pay the fine, or they serve their time there in the local jail. Now, generally down here, at least my experience has been about once a day, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents come to most of the jails. You know, they'll send an agent or two out to each jail to interview the people who have been placed in the city's custody or the county's custody. So they come in and they interview and they say, hey, what's your story? Tell me. No, you got a driver's license, you're good. Okay, you're not here illegally. Then, okay, we get to this person. You don't have any form of ID on you. What's your name? They check them through a separate system. Then, you know, they'll ask them, hey, are you here legally or not? Let's just, for the sake of argument, the person says, yeah, I'm here illegally. I don't have proper documentation to be here. What the Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents then do is they place a detainer or a hold on that person so that once they have remediated their issue with the state violation or even a city ordinance violation or whatever the case may be, once they've taken care of that, they can't just be released. So they have a hold placed on them. So now, once they've dealt with that issue, now they are referred over to Border Patrol to deal with, or to Immigration and Customs Enforcement to deal with their immigration issue. So it's not the police departments, it's not the counties placing detainers. That's what the federal agency does that deals with immigration issues. That's the three options you have as a police officer, more or less. Okay, so there is no motivation or no motivator for police officers simply to start arresting people for Class C violations so that they can get detainers put on. That's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. And the reason I know that's not going to happen is because we've been able to do all of those things that I just described forever. Nothing changed. The bill didn't change anything. Remember, the only thing it changed for police officers was that it disallows employers from telling their employees they can't ask about immigration status. So before the bill, we could ask about immigration status. This just says you can't not let them ask about immigration status, okay? So there's nothing to be hot and heavy over as far as that portion of the bill. Now, the sanctuary city portion, if you have an issue with that on for some other reason, you know, I'd be glad to hear your argument as to why that's a discriminatory policy. But let me go a step further here. Now, there's been several cities here in the southern Texas region that have decided to join in on a lawsuit against the state of Texas for SB4. I find that really interesting because if you remember at the beginning of this video, I said there were no sanctuary cities here in South Texas. Well, the reason I know there's no sanctuary cities in South Texas is because they've been doing what the bill mandates. They've been doing that forever. For years and years and years, at least the 13 years that I've been down here, they've been doing it that long. So with no coercion or under no compulsion, they were already doing what this bill says, hey, you got to do this or else. So why then now are cities who've been doing this on their own accord, why are they now, why do they have a problem with it? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Well, it kind of does because of politics, right? Everybody's on a team. You're either on the right or you're on the left, or you're, you know, libertarian or whatever, whatever title you or descriptor you use to describe yourself. And that's the problem. That's the real problem. The problem is whatever bill or legislation is presented, if it's done by somebody on the right loves it. And if it's done by somebody on the right, the left hates it. And vice versa, it's the same thing. If it's a bill, if it's legislation presented by somebody on the left loves it, and the right hates it. You could actually have a good bill proposed on the right that the left should like. And you could have a good bill proposed on the left that the right should like. But because we are so tribal and on our teams, and we will not listen to reason, we will not discuss things openly, we can't even solve the most basic of problems. This bill is a great example. Everybody on the right's touting it as great. I'm telling you, it's not great. I mean, it does some decent things, in my opinion, with the sanctuary city stuff, but it's not that great. It doesn't change very much. And then you have everybody on the left saying, oh my gosh, this is the show me your papers law. This is so discriminatory. It's not. It's not discriminatory at all. So we have to make a concerted effort as people of reason and people who want what the truth is, even when that truth is against our own interest, our own self-interest. Those are the times when you really need to look for the truth, okay? When it goes against your party or your team, that's when you really need to look at it, because that's more than that's intellectual honesty, and that's what we need more of. So I hope that I did a good job explaining exactly what SB4 does and what it doesn't do, and why it's, you know, it's nothing. If you have questions or comments about it, please let me know. I'll be glad to answer them as best as I can. If I don't know the answer to a question, I'll try to find out the answer. And appreciate you guys watching. So I'd greatly appreciate a like, a share, so that we can get the word out here in Texas, especially here in South Texas, that let's get over the party stuff and let's start looking at the facts.